So learning materials, right? So we talked about all these different things, automation, developer velocity, overhead, innovation. But where do I actually start? Well, I would say serverless stack. So serverless stack, not affiliated with Serverless Guru. However, they put out a pretty good course which goes through how to create serverless applications and how to use the serverless framework, Lambda functions, API gateway. It's focused on AWS. And what I would say is that AWS is actually the most mature serverless platform at the moment. And so I wouldn't hesitate to learn. I wouldn't hesitate to learn AWS first, just because there's going to be more documentation and more tutorials. Sure. If you are eventually going to use Google Cloud or Azure, the knowledge transfers, right? So I think a lot of times people think that the knowledge doesn't transfer, but lock-in, that's literally how the APIs work. But the knowledge always transfers over. Great. So good to know. Serverless stack will be first. Serverless Guru, got to hype our own train here. We're working on a course right now. It's going to be rolled out in like 2 weeks, and it will be a full end-to-end. How do I learn how to build serverless REST APIs? How do I learn how to build REST APIs that hook up to a front end? How do I build a GraphQL API to do the same thing? I'm personally writing the course. I'm going through the automation side of it, the serverless framework, how to do it manually in the console, how to optimize the stuff, how to do local testing, and then how to do a CI/CD pipeline, how to build a front end that works with it. The goal of it is to create a full end-to-end. Here's the stuff that I've learned from working with clients over the past 2 years, and then I'm going to give it to you. The price is not determined yet. We're thinking at, we're going to ballpark it, but basically the goal is to make it cost efficient for students around the world, right? Mm-hmm. So we don't want to make this like $300 or something, because then the amount of people that are going to take it are going to be less. We want to share that with the community and try to keep building the serverless momentum, right? Because ultimately, the thing that's been driving me is the passion for serverless. And as we talked about, the cost savings aspects and the developer velocity and the less overhead. My life with serverless, so interesting enough, I actually started working with serverless first. And that's something that I was actually, they say like cloud native, or I would be a serverless native or serverless born developer. And so I started my career at Nike doing serverless. And that was really interesting. And so then as I started Serverless Guru, I actually started doing more server stuff, right? And so I basically went from the newest way to the old way. And there was a level of frustration there that of like, why are we doing this, right? Like, that was the question I came back to, is like, why are we reinventing the wheel over and over again when we could just use X, Y, or Z that already exist? So rant over. And also the serverless framework. So if you want to learn from the source, the people that are rolling out content all the time, serverless.com, literally, I would check out the serverless framework. They've got tutorials and stuff like that rolling out. Serverless Guru and serverless, you're gonna be rolling out similar content, but that's just because it's the same thing, right? Yeah. So we all build like backend, we all build front ends. So what I would say is take all three, right? So if you want to take it very seriously, use serverless stack, use serverless Guru, and use the serverless framework. Learn all this knowledge, consume it, see the similarities and the patterns about what people are talking about, and then choose the path that makes the most sense to you.
Yeah, and then with that, you'll be armed and dangerous. You'll have a solid body of knowledge and a solid ability to really impact companies' bottom lines in a ways that not many other developers or even jobs allow you to do it. So go at it.
Yeah. And what we would say, like, Serverless Guru is a big proponent of practical knowledge, stuff that you can actually apply and develop, right? And so these courses aren't going to be like high-level overviews of like, this is what this service does, this is what this thing does. It's like, write the code that uses the service, understand it at that very low level, so you can speak with confidence. And I think that's extremely important, especially if you're going to interviews, or if you're trying to get your whole company to transition to serverless, So keep us posted on that if you end up doing that, because we would love to hear your story and your journey, and also be involved if possible, even as an advisory. So,
yeah, 100%.